Alright guys, so I'm back, and I'm going to have you guys continue the podcast now. So if you miss a few words since the last podcast, sorry, because I had to cut it off straight down the middle. But if you didn't watch the part 1 yet, there'll be a link in the description. Go watch part 1 before you watch this. So here's part 2. So with the Jawa, vintage Jawa, I rated about a 9 out of 10. New Jawa, rated a 10 out of 10. So let's let Jedi Boy 330 talk about the next figure, which is Han Solo.
Alright, so the Han Solo, he actually has two variants with a small head and a big head, and yeah, I like his small head version better. When he has the big head, he just looks a bit like Ringo Starr. He looks a bit weird. But yeah, the small head version, I like it better. Yeah, it's more accurate and it looks good. You know, it looks like Han Solo. You know, they got the outfit right and everything, and it's really, really great. And then the new release, the one with the variation with like the big head one, that would be the Yavin ceremony one that came with the medal. That one is like it's really really good, super articulated and everything. But I don't really like the head again, same as last time. It's it's just too big, but it looks it's a nice throwback for the the nostalgia collectors. And then but like the one with the small head is the 2004 version. I personally like that version better, and I pretty much think it's a definitive A New Hope Han Solo. So I give the
Vintage.
the big-headed one an 8 out of 10, and I give the small-headed one a 9 out of 10, and then I give the new one I think that they have the same ratings, the new one and the old one, with the big head and the small head. It's pretty much the same, because both figures are really great.
Alright, so yeah, Han Solo, main character, and you definitely need him for your collection. So I'm going to have to talk about the next figure, which is R2-D2. Now, this figure is okay. Like, now it would seem like a figure that you would buy from like the 99-cent store. I don't know, it just kind of seemed cheap to me. Kind of felt like Kenner cheaped out. They didn't include really anything in accessories. So you're kind of getting ripped off this figure because it was half the size, but it was a main character, so everybody's going to have to get him. And his detail isn't too great. He has a chrome dome. Yeah, he has a chrome dome, and but the eyes are just giant, and it just looks way too McQuarrie concept art for me. And it just isn't that great. It's hollow. It has sticker decals to put on it. It just isn't too good. And it doesn't even have a third leg. But if you got the Droid Factory one, it was exclusive, which included a third leg and a clicking head when you turned it. But there was a better release later on with a pop-up lightsaber, but you can just read that online. I'm not going to talk about it. The latest one, which is the Vintage Collection R2-D2 with the drink tray. Now, this is the best figure they've released for an R2-D2 yet. It has a pop-up lightsaber hilt, so that's something cool. And it has a drink tray, which adds a lot of detail to it. And it has superb detail all over. It just looks great. Fantastic R2-D2. If you're going for either one, I just say just get the new one. But if you want the first 12 vintage figures, get the R2, the vintage one. So let's let Jedi Boy 330 talk about the next figure, which is C-3PO.
Alright, so C-3PO, he was a very nice figure. It was a bit better than the R2-D2, which, like he said, like Reynolds 1200 said, it was very, cheap. It was just, C-3PO was just, like another figure. And he was really shiny, and then he had, no variants or anything. He was just a great, figure. Not much to say about him, but, he was shiny, and it was a cool figure. Not very good detail, but, still a nice figure. Now, the definitive release, I'm not going to say the most recent release, which is the Vintage Collection one, which is very short and has good articulation and everything, and has removable shoulder, has removable plates and everything. I don't think that's the definitive version. I think that the definitive version is the one that came out in 2006, the Ewok throne, I believe, and it was really, really great. It was very shiny. It looked just like C-3PO did in the movie, and it was just a great This is a great version of C-3PO. Not very articulated, but I have the figure with me right now. He's just a great figure, and he's not very articulated, but he doesn't need all the articulation, and I think that it's the best version of C-3PO.
Yeah. So what would be your rating on the vintage and the modern?
I'd say the vintage deserves an 8 out of 10, and the new one deserves a 9 out of 10.
All right, so that's pretty good ratings for both figures. And I'm going to go ahead and talk about the next figure, which is Darth Vader. Now, Darth Vader, arguably the most iconic character in Star Wars. So, this figure was another novelty because it came with the vinyl cape. And it was very menacing because it came with a black vinyl cape. And it just added to the darkness and evilness of Darth Vader. This figure, I believe, was a little bit taller than the other figures, which is very accurate to the movie, and it's nice that they added that. It had a telescoping lightsaber, which was red, so it was a movie-accurate color, unlike the Luke Skywalker. And it was just a great figure. Fantastic detailing for the time. Everything was just great about this figure, and I wish I owned it. Now, the most updated and definitive version, in my opinion, would have to be the new Vintage Collection one that just came out this month. The New Hope version. I believe this is definitive over all other Darth Vaders. Superb articulation, fantastic detail. You can go check out FlyGuy.net's review of this figure, and it's just a great figure, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Now, my ratings for each one would have to be the vintage. I'd have to go 10 out of 10, and the modern a 10 out of 10. They're both fantastic. Pick up both of them if you can. So, now we're going to let Jab with your theory talk about the next figure, which is the Stormtrooper.
All right, the Stormtrooper. I actually have the best version and I've actually had the most modern version and the older version. I just really like the old version because it just looks very nostalgic. Who cares if it has a big helmet and poor articulation? It just looks very, very nice, and you can just by looking at it, you can tell that it's a vintage figure, and it's just great figure. I rated it 10 out of 10, and the new one, it's very, very great too. It's great. It's got super articulation, a removable helmet, which wasn't really needed. We never saw them remove their helmets in the movie, so that wasn't very necessary. But still a nice feature. He comes with a rifle, just as an added piece, and he's a very, very nice he's a very, very nice figure. And he gets a 10 out of 10 too. But personally, I would get the vintage one because I don't know. I just think it looks the best in my opinion.
Yeah, so both sound great. Now let's get on to one of the last figures in the first 12, which is Ben Kenobi. Now Ben Kenobi is another iconic character from A New Hope, but really not too iconic in any of the other movies. Just Ben Kenobi, he was Luke's mentor. Everybody knows him. If you're a kid and you went and saw this movie at the drive-in, you'd have to go get this figure. It had a telescoping lightsaber, which is blue, and you need him to fight your Darth Vader. A very cool scene. And he had a vinyl cape, which was brown, and it made it look like Jedi robes. But unfortunately, you couldn't remove if you removed the vinyl cape, it would look weird because he'd have brown arms but a tan underside, I believe. No, actually, he did have a brown underside. Sorry about that. Just a great figure. He looked exactly like Ben Kenobi. For the time, he looked a lot like Ben Kenobi from the movie. Now, I give him a 9 out of 10. And the most modern release is the special action figure set version from the Vintage Collection. And he's just a fantastic figure. Looks exactly like Ben Kenobi. Comes with a soft goods cape. Cloak. And it's just a great figure. I really love the way he looks. He just looks fantastic, got superb articulation, and I rate him a 10 out of 10. So both are great figures, and you should definitely pick up both. Now, we're going to let Jedi Boy Theory talk about the final figure in the first 12 wave, which is Death Squad Commander, also known as Imperial Navy Commander.
All right. Well, I think that was probably the most boring figure of the wave. It was just I don't know. I just think it was really boring. It was it didn't have very good detail. It didn't really look like they did in the movie. But and especially with that stupid looking hat that he wears, and he basically has like a bowl on his head. Looks really weird. And but it was a nice figure for the time. I remember my uncle. I went to his house and he had like what 7 of those. So yeah, he had a lot of those, and then but they were pretty cool figure. Yeah. But it's just again, it's nostalgic, and I'd like that figure because I'm trying to get a bunch of vintage figures, so that would be a nice figure to have. But then we get to the newest release, which is the Imperial Navy Commander, which just came out. In my opinion, I think it's like the least exciting figure of the wave. I don't know, it's just not a very exciting character. So I would have suggested they went with something else. We already have the Saga Legends version, so it wasn't really much needed. And so yeah, he was great. He had he had lots of articulation, good detail, and nice decent accessories. But I just didn't really think that was like a excellent choice.
Yeah.
So I give the vintage one I'm gonna say a 7 out of 10, and the new one a 9 out of 10.
All right, so that wraps it up for this Rancor Podcast Weekly. We're about running out of time. So this has been Round 1200 and Jedi30 with the Rancor Podcast Weekly. Round 1200 out, and
may the force be with you.
Bye, guys.